Reddit Martian back with another tip-top video for you. r/AskReddit, where is the weirdest place you've ever fallen asleep? I only ask because as I type this, I can hear my roommate snoring from his seat on the toilet. On a tractor while plowing a field. I was doing night shifts during the summer and decided to get some extra hours in during the day, so I was tired when doing my actual shift. I switched on the tractor's GPS and set it to give me a signal 50 meters before the field ended to wake me up to turn around. The fields were about 1,200 meters long, so I'd get about 10 minutes of sleep before having to turn around again. During a job interview, he actually had to shake me awake. Weirder yet, I still got the job. You were hired for that power move. Look them in the eyes while sleeping and assert dominance. When I was a kid, like 5 or 6, there was a tree in the front yard I really liked climbing. There was a branch perfectly shaped for little me to lie down on. Early one morning, I woke up and decided to take my sleeping bag up the tree and went back to sleep. In college, I took a cognitive neuroscience course that involved designed experiments to be carried out in an MRI and how to analyze the brain images afterwards. As part of the course, we all carried out our studies, and I volunteered to be a participant for a few. When I went to get in the MRI, the tech said I couldn't wear my sweatshirt and due to the metal near the eglets, so she got me a blanket to keep warm. And to keep my head propped at the right angle, they gave me a stack of pillows. I definitely unintentionally ducked with someone's data by falling asleep mid-study. I fell asleep one time waiting before a medical procedure. They had to wake me up so that I could sign paperwork permitting them to put me to sleep. Oh, the irony. On the bus, standing up, in my defense, it was a traffic jam and I hadn't slept the previous night. At the dentist in the middle of drilling without any anesthesia, woke up to dentist trying to tell me to open my mouth more. Edit, for those wondering why no anesthesia. I have very high pain tolerance and I dislike how local anesthesia feels. That's not what you want to be hearing when waking up. Underneath the car while doing an oil change. On a hedge at the end of my road. Dad wasn't too pleased at driving past his pissed up son sleeping in a hedge on his way to work. In the back of an ambulance. I'm the paramedic. Wiz Khalifa concert. Everyone was so high. I fell asleep for a few minutes standing up and the crowd was so thick I didn't even fall over. Bathroom floors. Standing up. In the middle of eating. I have narcolepsy so I can see pretty much anywhere. Not always by choice. On someone else's wife's shoulder. I feel like there's a story there. One night, for no particular reason, I was feeling extremely anxious. My mother-in-law offered me a Xanax. It was about 7 PM and a few days before Christmas. We were at her house doing the family thing. I took the Xanax and after about 15 minutes started feeling relatively calm. Not really thinking about it, I grabbed a beer from my father-in-law, who didn't know I'd taken a Xanax. Finished it, decided to have one more. I went outside to smoke and was lying across the hood of my car. In retrospect, I was already pretty out of it. I don't normally lay on cars. Anyway, I finished smoking and turned on my iPad and just started doodling while lying back, kinda propped up by the windshield. That's all I remember. The next thing I knew it was after midnight. My iPad was lying in the driveway, shattered, and my mother-in-law and wife were shaking me awake in a total panic. Apparently I straight passed out mid-sketch and dropped my iPad and just sat there in their front yard, fully unconscious, laying across my car. Don't drink if you take Xanax, kids. In a crawl space when I was a technician for a laboratory. Techno party with my head on top of a big bass speaker. This post is a narcoleptic's wet dream. I've slept on the steps of the Opera House in Sydney, in the bathroom of my local pub, 3 hours 3 beers, under the car, whilst milking cows on numerous occasions. Kmart changing room. Traveling 35 miles per hour on a quad bike. Those are a few. At the moment my weird place is on the floor in our hallway. I went to a party and slept in the train on the way back home. But my friend constantly was waking me up. I would be mad if he did that. So when the train stopped at the last station he left without me. Drunk, and I did not really know him. So this nice cute lady waked me up when the train was empty. I thought it was my friend, so I yelled something mad and she walked away. 5 seconds later I realized it wasn't my friend and I felt so bad. While doing a school presentation. Literally. During snoo. But it turned out I was asleep the whole time and it was actually a dream. At the cinema. It was that Maze Runner movie. My girlfriend was all over it. I didn't like it personally. I once fell asleep standing up. During high school I had the weirdest relationship with sleep and ended up spending more time in class asleep than awake. One day, after not having slept for a few nights in a row, I just passed out during PE. Standing up, we were waiting for instructions. I blinked, and suddenly everyone was out in the field doing stuff and I was alone. Teacher see me come to shortly after and informs me that class is over in a few minutes and to just go ahead and get changed again. Reportedly I snored. I usually didn't in the classroom. Edit because I have another one. One time I fell asleep on the sidewalk outside my dentist's office. I had gotten up way earlier than I had needed to. I had to bus there, had 3 hours to kill, and not much money to get breakfast or something. So I went and sat down on some concrete fixtures that made a decent improvised seat, got annoyed at myself for forgetting to charge my phone, and started changing my seated position frequently before eventually dozing off laying down. Thankfully I awoke, but it was to a siren. I was wondering what was going on when a firefighter started talking to me. Somebody thought I was a body or a passed out homeless person. Whoops. Made it to my dentist on time and resolved to never be that early to an appointment ever again. On the deck of a trawler, with a mix of seawater, fish guts, and crude oil lapping against my makeshift bed. Not weird but dangerous. When I was still in high school I used to work a Starbucks and would open at 4 AM, so I'd have to get up around 3 AM to drive there. Well, there were some days where I didn't get to bed on time, so while driving, I'd close my eyes and count to 3 and then open and correct my driving if I had veered off my lane. And repeat. My logic was, no way could I veer off that bad in 3 seconds. Mind you, that early there really isn't anyone on the road. Well, there was one time I counted to 3 and my eyes would just not open until it was almost too late. Nothing bad happened, but I pulled over, called work and said I'd be 5 minutes late. Took a nap on the side of the highway and went to work. TLDR. Due to opening shift at Starbucks, I counted myself to sleep while driving. I volunteered at the local firehouse when I was a teen, early 20s. We got a call one night on the interstate, which was a 20-minute drive. Sick me decided to close my eyes thinking I would wake up when the sirens stopped. I woke up when the truck pulled back in the station and turned off with everyone laughing at me. While tying my shoes, I fell asleep during my wedding. Pretty much the moment we sat down waiting to do our vows and wrap up the ceremony part of the wedding, I fell asleep multiple times while sitting there. Now it's not because I don't respect my wife. She pretty much died laughing when we went to eat and talk to people. She always thinks that shirt is funny. I have various illnesses, physical and mental. I was on meds at the time. I worked roofing with my father-in-law and I am not a morning person at all. I've always had the graveyard schedule since I was a child. I've never been able to wake up in the morning without feeling sick. My couch is younger me. I swear it has teleportation abilities. I always end up in my bed when I sleep on it. Buddy and I went to an amusement park. Roller coaster were the main thing we went for. Then we got in line for one, and as we sat down in the seat and got strapped in, a couple got pulled off to the side because they had a camera out. You aren't allowed to film or take pictures on roller coasters where I'm from. So security was called and the ride was delayed. So I sat there and turned to my friend and say, "Yo Chris, wake me when the ride starts." I said it as a joke. He laughed. And then I leaned back and closed my eyes. Then I was falling. The coaster has started and I actually fell asleep. I woke up on the first hill, but I'm still amazed I actually fell asleep. On the back of a horse-drawn carriage with like 3-5 other dudes. We were all bound by the wrists and I woke up when one said, "Hey, you're finally awake. You walked straight into that ambush to hug. Do you know what you are? That's right, you're a champ." Thanks for watching. Like and share if you enjoyed. Don't forget the bell. Subscribe for more videos. See you soon, Martians.